Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, everybody. We're here today with Thalo Blue. Thalo is an agender mixed media artist and art educator based in Tucson, Arizona, who is interested in creating emotionally honest artwork that helps them connect with their community and others. Today, Thalo is going to be giving a workshop called Subconscious Art Exploration, which is a meditative guided workshop. So thank you, Thalo.
Thank you. Yeah, so this workshop is called Subconscious Art Exploration. It is based on a practice called Open Studio Process, which is a process that was created by a group of art therapists in Chicago in the 90s. It is art therapy adjacent, but it isn't exclusively for art therapists. So I am an art educator and I am a certified facilitator of Open Studio Process. I just recently completed the training. And essentially the purpose of Open Studio Process, or in this case, subconscious art exploration, which is kind of like my own spin on it, is to help participants kind of get into that flow state, into that subconscious mindset where you are creating from your subconscious or from your instincts and not sort of worrying so much about that end product or that end goal. And the reason why I love to do this workshop is because personally, I believe that creativity is something that is inherent in all of us. I think that um, for a lot of reasons, we like to think about creativity as a talent or a skill that only certain people have or only certain people can build. But I truly believe that it's inherent. It's not even necessarily a skill. Obviously, there's a lot of skills surrounding creativity that you can put a lot of years into building, but I do think that everybody has that creativity inside of them. The way I like to think about it is in the same way that we instinctively need to know how to chew and swallow food because we need to eat to survive. I do believe that we instinctively know how to be creative. And I think that you can see proof of that uh, when you're looking at, kids just starting to dance or starting to sing when they have an idea, or just drawing mindlessly in the dirt on the playground when they um, are sitting in the dirt because it's just what they are instinctively called to do. And I think that as adults, we kind of lose that instinct because we think of it as that sort of skill that needs to be built up. And I think that this workshop can be pretty effective at helping you connect and be more present with that creative side of yourself in a way that kind of alleviates the pressure and sort of um, helps you ease into it in a more relaxing way. Click in. So as we go throughout this workshop, there's going to be a couple of steps that I'll talk you through. Something that I like to say right off the bat is that the point of this workshop is to work from your instincts and to kind of follow your gut, follow your heart, follow what feels good. So I am going to be giving you some pretty specific instructions, but if there's at any point in this process where you're like, this doesn't feel right, I want to do it this way, I want to make art this way, I want to write this way, and it's not exactly what I'm telling you to do, I want you to follow your heart. I want you to follow your intuition because that's what we're here to do today. So even if that means raising your hand or putting it in the chat and being like, hey, I know you said this, but can I do this instead? That is totally fine if it feels good to get that kind of um, permission. But you don't need to. You can just, follow your heart. You're in total control. Nothing that I'm asking you to do today is required. Um, so yeah, these are the steps and we'll go through them as we get to them, but we start by setting our intentions, and then we do art making and we'll be making art today. Um, then you'll do some witness writing and then I'll talk about what witness writing is before we get into it. And then at the very end, there's like a share/debrief section, which is something, again, I'll talk about more when we get into it, but it's a way for us to kind of express these things that came out of us as we were making. and in like a low pressure environment. And so I'll talk about how I kind of create that more low pressure environment when we get to it. But for now, the first thing that I want you to do is to just grab some materials. I know that the people who are attending this are probably artists already, so you have materials, I'm sure, on hand, but if you don't, there's no pressure. You can just grab two pieces of paper and a pencil if you'd like, or a pen. If you have like an iPad or a tablet that you draw on, you could even use it digital medium. It's whatever you feel the most comfortable grabbing. It's just important to make sure that you grab two pieces of paper because we will be making art and we will be writing. But if you're really low on paper, it's okay to make art on one side and write on the other. So I'll give you just a few moments to grab your materials. Um, I'm gonna say, or I guess it kind of looks like people might have been grabbing as I was talking. So do you want to maybe put into the chat if you need more time, or raise your hand if you need more time to get more materials? Or you could give me a thumbs up if you already have what you got, what you need. I'm seeing in the chat that people are saying that they're good, which is great. Okay, so yeah, like I said, it's just whatever materials that you feel comfortable and which are whatever is on hand at the time or at this moment. Um, I do really like to start all of my workshops with like a going around and introducing ourselves. I think it's nice to kind of connect right at the top. Um, so if you feel comfortable, I would love for us to do that. I can kind of name off the names as I see them, so there's no pressure in figuring out if it's your turn to go. But when I name you, just go ahead and unmute and let us know what your name is, what your pronouns are, and kind of what your headspace is today, how you're feeling going into this, or maybe why you chose to come today, what you're hoping to get out of it, anything that feels easy and comfortable to say right now. If I call your name and you're not feeling like you can unmute and speak today, you can shake your head no, or put in the chat. Maybe you could put in the chat your information if you want, but I'll go ahead and I see your name as the moderator. Would you like to speak, moderator?
Sure. I'm Julie, and I forget what I was supposed to say.
Oh, yeah. So it's your name, your pronouns, and just any information about what your headspace is like today. How are you feeling going into this?
Okay. Julie, they, them, and I am very allergy today, so I'm kind of stuffy physically, and that's affecting my headspace.
Leaf, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I'm Leaf. My pronouns are he, him, and uh, I'm feeling a little bit tired today, but still good.
Awesome. And then Tossin or Tosin?
Hi, my name is Tosin. My pronouns are she, they, and I'm feeling hungry, and I am, kind of lonely. And I'm here because I would like to do something fun and interesting, and I'm here to connect. I'm here to connect with human beings. That's why I'm here.
Awesome. And then the last person I see, their name is iPhone, so I'm not sure who that is. If you'd like to speak, I see something just came into chat. He says, Zaza is his name. His pronouns are he, him, and he's not sure how he feels today, which is so fair. So my name is Thalo, as I already said. I use any and all pronouns. Today I'm feeling like a little bit nervous going into this because I have done this workshop quite a few times. I've been certified for a little while, and I have been doing this project or this workshop in my hometown, Tucson, for a little over a year. So I'm pretty confident and comfortable in the process, but I've never done it virtually before, so this is very new for me. So thanks for being here, and thanks for sharing how you're feeling today. I know that's like kind of a big ask sometimes. So, like I said, we are going to start with setting intentions, and I'll talk about that. But one of the things that I really like to kind of start off with right at the beginning, before we even set our intentions, is a little bit of breathing together. It's as Leaf described, this is a meditative guided workshop. And so I'm going to guide you through a little short guided meditation that will kind of get us into a headspace to be a little bit more present with ourselves before we even get our intention down onto the paper. Um, so go ahead and wherever you're at, just find a comfortable seating position, whatever that looks like for you. And then go ahead and start to either slowly close your eyes or just look softly downwards. And then I want you to start to pay attention to the way that your feet feel resting on the ground or whatever surface they're resting on. Start to notice any sort of energy or texture or temperature that you feel beneath your feet. And pay attention to the connection between your feet and the floor and then the ground beneath it. Now I want you to slowly turn your attention towards your hands. And just start to notice the texture of whatever surface your hand is resting on. Does that surface feel smooth? Does it feel soft? Does it feel scratchy? What kind of energy do you feel underneath your hands? Do you feel any warmth? Do you feel any coolness? Now we're going to take a couple of slow, deep breaths together. So go ahead and inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. For the next little bit, I want you to just continue focusing on your breathing. Let your breath come in and out at its own pace, whatever feels comfortable to you. And as you inhale, notice the sensation of the air coming in through your nostrils, expanding in your chest, expanding your stomach outward. And as you exhale, notice that same feeling in reverse. Notice your tummy and your chest start to go back down, the sensation of the air blowing out through your nostrils again. Just take a few moments to focus in on just that sensation throughout your body. For the next few moments, I'm going to just suggest that you let your thoughts move freely. So we just spend some time trying to keep our attention focused on one thing. But now you're just going to let your mind move as it wants to. Let the thoughts come in and out without any control over them. We're not questioning our thoughts. We're just letting them move across our mind. Whatever comes, comes. We don't need to question or judge them. We're just letting our mind think freely. Go ahead and slowly at your own pace, start to open your eyes or look up again. You can stretch out a little bit, shake your hands out maybe, do a big exhale to bring your body back into the present moment. Now that we've kind of taken a moment to breathe and feel present with ourselves, kind of check in with what's going through our mind, we're going to start the process by setting our intention. So in subconscious art exploration, an intention is a present tense sentence or statement that usually starts with the word I. This sentence or statement is going to be kind of the guiding force throughout your art making. So it's going to be kind of that thought that you keep coming back to as you create. You can think of it as a goal. So because we're creating free flow without any planning, instead of having a goal of making beautiful artwork or making an artwork that makes a statement, our goal is this intention that we're setting. Um, the other way that I like to think about it is it's sort of like a gift that you're giving to yourself. So because it's kind of the only intentional part of this process, everything else is just from our subconscious, from our instincts. Um, we want to kind of give ourselves something positive. And that's not to say that, we need to change any negative emotions or we're not allowed to feel bad while we do this. It's just to say that we're giving ourselves something positive. So if you, in this moment, are feeling a deep, difficult emotion and you want to process it, instead of saying, I am feeling or I am sad, your intention might be, I feel my sadness or I process my sadness. If you're feeling very frustrated and very angry, instead of saying I am angry, it's I process my anger. Um, the other reason that we say positive is so if you are in a mindset where you're feeling something that you want to kind of change and get rid of, you're tired of feeling that feeling. Instead of saying I'm not angry, you might say I leave behind my anger or I set it aside or um, I understand what I need to move through this anger. Um, and something that I always like to say is that if you are sitting here right now thinking, I have no idea what I want my intention to be, and my mind feels totally blank, something that always works great is this last line that I have here, which is, I am open to what my art has to tell me. And that kind of just puts you in this position of just being able to create without having any sort of goal or intention, and just kind of letting your art tell you what you need at that moment. I did want to kind of make a suggestion that you consider creating an intention that is relating to being a part of a queer community, having a queer identity, and connecting to your community in some way. Because that is, I feel like, a major theme to this event is art and community and being queer and connecting with each other. And I think that this is a great way to kind of feel that connection and or even learn about how you'd like to develop a closer connection with your community. Um, so I'm going to give you a couple of moments to um, kind of um, think about your intention and write it down. You can write it on either piece of paper. If you want it to be a part of your artwork, you can write it on your art paper. If you don't want it to be a part of your artwork, you can write it on your writing paper. Um, and I'm going to give us about 5 minutes. So for me, it's 1:31 is when we'll be done with our intentions. But it's 4:31, I think, for some of you. And as you were working, if you have any questions about how to write an intention, you can raise your hand, unmute. You could put it in the chat. And also, if you're feeling like you have an idea, but you don't know how to word it, let me know, and I can definitely help you word your intention. So yeah, um, we have until 1:31 or 1:41, 5 minutes from now. And let me know if you have questions. We have about 1 minute left. So if you're still working on it, um, that's totally fine. I just realized that I think I might have missed some people while we were doing introductions. So I apologize for that. If you would like to introduce yourself and share your pronouns in the chat, that would be really great, but no pressure. Um, just wanted to say sorry for missing you. I didn't realize that there was another, I needed to scroll to see the rest of the people. Like I said, I'm new to doing this virtually. Um, okay, so now that we have our intentions set, it is time to move on to the art making. Um, like I said, this workshop is very free flow, stream of consciousness, just kind of creating from your instincts. But that intention that we just set will kind of guide us through. So similarly to when we were meditating a moment ago and we kind of um, kept bringing our mind back to our breath and focusing on our breath, and then just sort of let it go. You can kind of think of your intention as your breath as you're creating artwork. So if you start to feel yourself feel some like resistance towards your art, you like don't want to keep going, you feel like, oh, if I keep going now, I'm going to ruin it, or I really want this to look pretty and I just don't think I can do it right now. Any of that sort of like tension and resistance, keep trying to bring your mind back to that intention because your intention is to do your intention. It's not to create a beautiful, perfect piece of artwork in the end. Um, and essentially what's going to happen is I'm going to start a timer. I know that a timer sounds scary. It kind of sounds like a test or some sort of school assignment. But the intention of setting a timer is just making it a little bit easier for you to not plan your artwork. So when I start the timer, you're going to start making art, and when I end the timer, or when the timer ends, you're going to be at a stopping point for today. And in that way, you don't know when you're done, so you don't know how to plan your artwork. And I'll let you know when the timer is up, um, and I'll let you know when the timer starts. Really important kind of ground rule or norm that is important to set at the start is that we don't, in this process, we try our best to not add any additional comments or judgment statements. And that's not to say like, oh, you're not allowed to feel bad about your artwork, because you might feel bad about your artwork. We're not necessarily trying to make beautiful artwork today, so you might not be happy with the outcome. But it's important to not verbally say things like, oh, that looks cool, or oh, I hate what I'm making right now. Even though you might feel that way, and that's a genuine way to feel, when we say those things out loud, it can, without realizing it, kind of pull everyone else out of their subconscious mind. Because if you hear someone in the Zoom say, "Oh, hey, toss in that art that you're making looks cool," it might make you think to yourself, "Why did they say that her art looks cool? Why didn't they say my art looks cool? Is there something wrong with my art?" And it might not even be a conscious thought, but those kinds of things kind of pull us out of that subconscious, that flow state, and put us into that performance state. So we just try to avoid that as much as we can. Um, and then I wanted to ask that you consider turning your camera on and pointing it towards your artwork so that we can kind of take inspiration from each other, reference each other. That kind of helps you kind of work through that um, little bit of like tension of not knowing what to do when there isn't a plan. But of course, if you don't feel comfortable with that, you don't have to. But it's really nice sometimes getting to like sit back and look at other people's art and then keep working. And yeah, are there any questions about what we're doing when we do our art today? I know it's pretty open-ended, but also I'm giving you a lot of information. If your art turns out to be um, representative, it looks like something, that's okay. If it turns out to be totally abstract, it's okay. There's no hard rules of what we're making today. It's very much, we're just trying to get into that flow state and make from our subconscious. Any questions? And I'm gonna be playing some music while we work. So you can feel free to turn it up or down on your end if you need to adjust the volume. And if you do have a question as you go, you can feel free to put it in the chat because I'll keep an eye on that. Okay, the timer is starting now if you want to go ahead and start. And I'll let you know when it's done. Let me know if you can't hear the music.
We can hear it. We can hear the music.
One thing, I just realized that some of you might have come in late and not heard the material gathering part. If you're a little bit confused about what you're making art with, I just let everybody know that you should grab whatever materials are easy and on hand. It can even just be a piece of paper and a pencil or a piece of paper and a pen, whatever is the easiest for you to grab right now. So my timer is going off. That means that we are at the end of our art making session for today. Please know that this is the stopping point for right now, so don't stress too much about that timer going off. If you need to or want to come back to your artwork and keep working on it later, that's of course totally a great idea. But yeah, now that we are done with our art making, just go ahead and kind of shake your hands out a little bit. Do a stretch. Maybe another big exhale. And now what I want you to do is take a little bit of a moment to just kind of sit back from your artwork, and look at the whole picture. So sometimes when we're making art, we will kind of um, get super focused in on just one spot, whatever spot we're working on at that moment. And so for right now, we're just going to kind of take a moment to sit back and take in the whole picture and maybe see if we notice something that we haven't noticed before. And for the next part of this process, we're going to move on to witness writing. So as I said, we did intentions, we did art making. Now the next step is witness writing. Um, you can think of witness writing as essentially a writing in response to the artwork that you just created or the experience that you just had with your artwork. Um, it's once again going to be free flow and stream of conscious. I'm going to set a timer again. It is going to be a shorter amount of time than we just spent making art, but once again, you're going to kind of not know when the time is up so that you can just start writing and not plan how your writing sounds. You're going to try to not really edit it, go back or and erase. You're going to try to not censor yourself. Just write truly whatever comes to mind as you're looking at your artwork. And make sure that your artwork is visible to you as you write so that you can keep checking in with it. Um, this is, oh, I put the no additional comments and judgments in to remind you that we don't say that out loud, but that rule doesn't apply to your writing. So if you have judgment statement about your artwork that you want to write, let it out. It's not, there's no censoring happening right now. Um, and yeah, we're gonna start the timer and keep writing until the timer runs out. If you're not used to writing with your hand, you can definitely type if you have something to type with, or you just might need to kind of stretch your hand a little bit if your hand muscles aren't used to writing for that long. Um, if you run out of things to write about and you feel like your mind goes totally blank, I have a couple of suggestions. You can write about how you feel about your artwork. You can write about what you see in it. You can literally just describe what you're looking at. You can write about how that experience felt for you. You can try to have a conversation with your artwork. I love to literally ask my art questions and see if it has an answer for me. Um, and if you get to the point where you have tried all of my suggestions and your mind feels totally blank and you have nothing else to write, I do want you to try to keep your pencil moving. So try to just start writing your intention over and over and see if something else comes out after you've written it a couple of times. Yeah. Are there any questions about witness writing and what we're about to do? Let me check the chat to make sure. If questions come up as you're writing, I will once again be watching the chat. And I'm going to go ahead and set our timer. Okay, you guys can start when you're ready. And I'll let you know when the timer runs out. Sorry, I lost the tab for the music for a second and I was like, oh, I get to pause the music. Okay. Um, so that is my timer just went off for our witness writing, so that's the end. If you are still kind of in the middle of a sentence or a word, you can definitely feel free to finish up what you're writing, but other than that, that's the stopping point for our witness writing today. Um, so once again, go ahead and shake out your hands, do a little bit of stretching, do another big exhale. Kind of bring yourself back into this present moment. Sometimes witness writing can bring up a lot of stuff. Sometimes it doesn't, but sometimes when you kind of let yourself just let it all out, a lot of stuff comes out, and it can be a little bit of a overwhelming process. So it's good to kind of take a moment to check back in with yourself and do a little bit of stretching and movement to bring yourself back into the present moment. So now that we have done our intention setting, our art making, our witness writing. We're on to the last sort of section, which is the share/debrief. So first we'll be doing some sharing. Like I said, there's nothing that's required of you today, but your options for sharing are to either hold your artwork up to the camera like this, kind of show it off. Oops, I keep dropping everything. You can do that. Or your other option is to take your writing and read directly from your writing. If you do choose to read your writing, you can feel free to skip over spots that feel a little bit too personal or just not something you want to read out loud. You could even just read a sentence from your writing if you wanted to. Your other option is to do both. My favorite option. So you can hold it up and read as you're holding it up so we can listen to your words and see your artwork. And then your last option is just to say, I'll pass and do neither. That's totally okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of name off who I see on the list of participants, and I'll actually scroll this time so I can see everyone. And you can unmute or turn on your camera and choose which option you'd like to choose. If you want to pass, you can say pass out loud. You can put it in the chat, or you can just like, you could be like this, or like, no, thank you, or like this to show me that you don't want to share if you don't want to say it out loud. And I have the no additional comments or judgments kind of ground rule back up on the screen because it's the most important here. Because if you hold your artwork up and you say, here's my art and I love it so much, that's beautiful. I want to hear that, but not right now because it might make someone else go, oh, my art isn't as beautiful as that person's. Maybe I shouldn't share it. Or if you go to read your writing and you go, my writing is kind of weird, but I guess I'll read it. That might make the next person go, oh, but my writing is weirder than that. Maybe I shouldn't read mine. So all of those feelings are beautiful and I want to hear them afterwards, but while we're sharing, just make sure that you don't add any additional comments. So just show your artwork or just read or do both or neither. Are there any questions about your options while we're sharing? Cool. I will go down the list again as I see people. So Julie, did you want to go?
And I didn't want to share any writing, so it's just this.
Thank you for sharing. Then Leaf, did you want to share?
Yeah, sure. I'll share both. I'll be brave. Um, so I posted a picture in the chat, so that might be a better way to see it, but um, because I need to actually look at my screen. I did all my writing on the computer.
Mm.
Mhm. All right. This is a little bit long, so I apologize for that. Um, I have, from my early childhood, imagined myself less as a human and more as a dog, alternatingly well-trained and feral. It is a feeling of being a once wild beast, now restrained, now cast out of the comfort of the cage. I tend to draw dogs often when I am called upon to do freeform illustration like this, and here I have drawn a dog rearing back with its head twisted around and its mouth open in a snarl. The dog is suspended in space and engulfed in flames, which do not touch his body directly, like the burning bush that spoke to Moses. While suspended, the dog is still restrained, wearing a collar to which a leash is affixed, leading to a stake driven into the ground. To a certain extent, I also just like to draw dogs. I'm very familiar with their anatomy, as my family dog was the most willing model for my art practice as a child, and they do look cool. Um, Last week, one of the vendors we had shared that dog owners are more likely to be politically conservative, which makes sense to me that would be the case. People often get dogs because they're useful as guard dogs or guide dogs, or to keep their kids company, or to make them look cool at the army surplus store. No one gets a cat because they expect something out of the relationship. That's as far as I got.
Thank you for sharing.
Yep.
I also realized I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so that we can see everybody's image bigger. And then also thank you for adding your artwork into the chat because it was really nice getting to see it up close while you talked. The next person I see on my screen is Nara. Did you want to share? Oh, Nara said that they didn't have a camera. So Nara did share some artwork in the chat. If you guys want to scroll up and see it. Thank you for sharing that, Nara.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I don't have a camera for my Mac. I didn't write as much as I wanted about this. I was just messing around on my iPad. Mainly, I was like, who is this? What is this? That was my thoughts about the artwork. Why are the colors so bright? I mean, I mainly had questions about what I did, more than thoughts than anything else.
So thank you for sharing.
Sure.
And then the next person I see is Hafsat. Would you like to share?
Nay. Absolute nay.
Okay, no worries. And then I think that that's, see, I'm still not sure if I'm seeing everybody.
I think Tosin hasn't shared yet.
Oh, Tosin, yeah, that's the person I can't see. Tosin, would you like to share your art or your writing?
I'm not sure about the writing. I think I'm gonna skip the writing. But this is the art. Unfortunately, it's not very clear. And maybe a zoom is better. Oh, that actually looks better. I just zoom, I just go from side to side, up to down. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I wrote and drew pretty quickly, and I'm proud of it. Yeah. I don't know if this counts, but I had like a little project I was working on before coming here. I mean, I was like in the mood to work on it, and I started as soon as the tutorial started. So I would say like the tutorial influenced the the project, the way it looks, and the completion of it. I'm just gonna send a picture right here. It's a new logo for this. It's a new logo for this. Um, I have like a what do you call it, a LinkedIn business. So I provide free digital marketing services. I have a background in digital marketing. So I designed a new logo. The original logo was the anarchist logo with like a bunch of flowers covered it, and then so okay, and so after I finished drawing and in between like drawing and writing, I just finished this logo, and I'm pretty proud of. I just really wanted the name of the service to be on the logo, and it looks good. You know,
Oh.
I use this really fun Canva elements I saw. I was like, wow, these elements are like perfect for what I'm trying to do. It's called Pro Bono Sonyo, which is pro bono dream basically. And I chose the name because it rhymes. So I did both. Yeah, that's it.
Cool. It looks like Tosin shared that logo in the chat if anybody is wondering where to find it. Thank you for sharing. Oh, and then I'll go last. Here is my artwork. And then I wrote, I confidently connect with my community. I think the trees and birds and bird baths are very fun and interesting to look at. I don't think I've ever drawn bird baths before. It almost looks like the flowers are tied up to the tree like a leash. This art is so sparkly and surreal. The red cardinal bird is so cute and silly. It reminds me of the conversation I had last night. I want to connect confidently, but it feels like my confidence is so far away. Is there confidence in this artwork? Drawing a flying bird, even though I don't know how, is pretty confident. The bubbly purple soda looks confident. The bird baths are where birds go to connect with their community. Maybe the red bird is showing or shouting a greeting to the yellow bird from the sky. The red and yellow bird are not afraid of each other. They are flying and drinking soda and feeling free. I love drawing sparklies and bubbles. Do you have anything to say to me, artwork? Artwork says, I am proud of you for doing your best. Thanks, Art. I am too. I wish I could tell if oh, I'm going to skip over that. Um, oh, that's the end. I always mean to make a little mark to tell myself where I'm done reading, and then I sometimes don't stop. Okay. So yeah, that is essentially the open studio process, but and my spin on it. But I do like to add a little bit of a moment at the end to debrief because, I'm telling you like, don't say this, do this. This is what we're doing. This is the time that you have for it. And I do like to give people a moment at the end to just speak freely about how they felt about the experience, maybe how they felt about their artwork, anything that they noticed about what came up, what they heard in other people's writing, anything like that. Any feedback, even if you have any thoughts about how this experience went for you, and how you feel like it might be better or anything like that. I love hearing that kind of stuff. So the floor is yours if you have any thoughts or questions.
Well, I'll share some thoughts. This is the first time in a while that I've done like just straight drawing. I've been working on a lot of comics lately, so I've been mostly just doing um stuff that I've like scripted out in advance. So this was a fun exercise for me to just take a break from all that serious and scripted stuff and just draw freely.
Yeah, I do. I like what you are saying and also how it kind of relates to what Tosin said earlier. And I see your hand,
Hmm.
Tosin, so I'll get to you real quick. But I think that I love sharing this process with people who are artists, especially people who are taking their art very seriously and being professional or just being working artists in some way, because I think that we kind of get into this mindset of like making art for a reason, having it be sellable or viewable or somehow consumable in some way. And I think kind of taking a moment to step away from that, having a reason to make art and getting back into that just instinctual working from that purely creative place can be good for our soul, but also good for all of our artwork. It kind of helps you kind of warm up and feel a little bit more confident and a little bit kind of trust that creative side of yourself to be able to make beautiful artwork when that is your purpose and your goal. Did you had your hand up, Tosin?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that it's nice to meet you, Thalo, and I had a great time. I almost didn't show up. I'm glad I did. I think this was cool. I think I'm gonna remember this for a long time. I'm glad I took part in this activity. It added value to me.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate hearing that. The other thing I wanted to share is that I do these workshops in person in my hometown. So I'm not the most like virtual person. But I do have a goal to eventually do these types of things virtually more often. But for now, the best way to kind of connect with me again, if you'd like to continue this process, is via my website, which oh, and it's sent again. Great. It's at the top and the bottom of the chat now, which I'm happy about. And I also have an Instagram that you can follow, and I'll send that right now. Um, my contact information is on both things, my Instagram and my website. But I have these little zines, it's backwards right now, obviously, that I made with instructions for how to do this process on your own. So I sell these for like donation prices. Like you can just send me a couple bucks if you want. If you want me to send you one of these, I can just stick it in an envelope and mail it to you. And that way you can keep referring back to this if you want to use it as a regular practice to, stay connected with yourself, it can be a great way to process things if you kind of have thoughts or feelings that are sort of stuck and rotating in your mind. If you feel like you need something to kind of break through a little bit of artist block, if you feel like you need a new way to warm up before you start your art practice, I feel like this process can be really helpful for lots and lots of reasons. Um, and also you can reach out to me. Like I said, I'd like to start doing virtual workshops, but I also do virtual individual or not virtual. I do in-person individual lessons, and I'd like to start doing in-person or virtual. I'd like to start doing virtual individual lessons. That was so hard to say. So if you'd like to reach out to me and learn more about this process and see if we can work together more, definitely feel free. You can DM me or email me. All of my contact information is available in those two places that we shared. So yeah. Um, and if you want me to send you one of these, let me know. Did anyone have any final thoughts or questions or feelings? You could tell us about how you feel about your artwork if you want, because I know I told you you weren't allowed to do that. But I want to hear it if you do have feelings.
I got interrupted by my cat, so I wasn't able to write. Um, and I wasn't able to finish or to do as much of my art because my cat was very demanding. But I had a good time. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. I want to leave a little bit of empty space in case someone's like working up the courage to say something. But thank you so much for making art with me today, and being like patient with my not super knowing how to facilitate virtually. This was a really fun experience, and um, I'm really glad that I got to make art with you all.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here, Thalo, and for sharing your experience with us. This is the last workshop for today, but we have more workshops tomorrow. And live tabling, we have our second vendor pitch session, which is a new event that we're doing this year, where we get rapid fire, a bunch of different vendors to share, you know, their art and basically pitch it to our attendees, and that will be recorded for YouTube as well, or you can join us on Zoom live for that. It's pretty early in the morning for East Coast people, but we like to space out our events that lots of people have the opportunity to be there for something. So um, yeah, thank you again, Thalo. Thank you for everyone who attended. Hope to see you for the rest of the fest.
Bye,
Go
everybody.
ahead. I'll go ahead and stop the recording.
Yeah, thank you.